The Council of Elders had existed before empires, before stars, before the first living cell had learned to breathe. They floated in a massive crystal hall hanging in open space, a quiet throne built from the remains of fallen suns. The hall glowed softly, as if remembering all the civilizations it had witnessed rise, fight, fall, and vanish. In the center, the elders sat in a circular formation, their bodies made of shifting light, their faces carved like ancient memories. Each of them carried the weight of thousands of dying galaxies. And tonight, they repeated the same warning they had spoken for 40,000 years. Their voices shook the hall and the space around it. If humanity ever returns, the stars will tremble. Their words echoed like a slow drumbeat across the void. But the younger alien empires laughed. To them, humans were nothing but old stories from a time when the universe was wild and dangerous. They mocked the elders, calling humans weak myths, vanished creatures, ghosts of a forgotten age, old bedtime stories for children. They believed humans died 900 years ago after a great collapse. No traces, no signals, no survivors. The elders, however, knew better. They remembered the fire in human eyes. They remembered the strange force inside humans that defied logic, something the elders called the willfire, a burning strength that could reshape fate itself. That fire never died, it only slept. And today, as the galaxy laughed, something moved, something the elders had feared for ages. The air in the crystal hall shifted. The stars outside flickered. The oldest elder, Elian, slowly raised his head. "Do you feel it?" he whispered. The others nodded without speaking. A ripple moved across the galaxy, gentle at first, then powerful, like someone had dragged a giant invisible hand through the starlight. Young empires ignored it. Trader ships ignored it. Military fleets ignored it. But the elders did not. They felt the universe gasp. And then, it came. A blinking signal from the far edge of the galactic map. A distress beacon. A human distress beacon. After 9 centuries of perfect silence, the crystal hall darkened. Every elder stood up. Their light trembled. "It has begun," Elian said, and his voice felt like time breaking. Across thousands of worlds, alarms activated. Every alien system with long-range sensors saw it at the same time. A signature. A formation. A fleet. Not alien. Not hybrid. Not unknown. Human. A human fleet entering the galaxy. Silent. Cold. Unstoppable. Thousands of alien scientists panicked as readings spiked beyond limits. Human ships were supposed to be extinct, yet here they were, hundreds of them, moving like a single mind, no wasted motion, no hesitation, no fear. They traveled without broadcast, without lights, without identification. They traveled like shadows that remembered how to burn. The transmissions spread across the galaxy within minutes. Unidentified fleet detected. Energy signature matches. Human origin. Impossible. 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 Every empire repeated the same word. But the screens did not lie. Humanity had returned. And they were not returning quietly. Spaceports shut down. Borders were closed. Entire species locked themselves inside bunkers. Young rulers screamed at their generals. Merchant princes tried to flee. A few of the smart ones remembered the old elder warnings and quietly whispered prayers. The elders watched the fleet's slow advance through the void. Not fast. Not rushed. Controlled. Determined. Focused. "They return only when the universe is burning," Elian murmured. Another elder replied softly, "Then someone has lit a fire too big for any of us to ignore." The ripple spread again, stronger. Stars flickered like candles. An ancient fear resurfaced across every species. Humans did not return for diplomacy. They did not return for territory. They returned for one reason. Someone had hurt them. And humanity never ignored pain. As the human fleet crossed into Council territory, alien empires activated their border forces. The first contact would happen soon. Every camera, every drone, every satellite focused on one thing: what would the humans do next? They got their answer sooner than expected. A small alien scout ship from the KHYR Dominion was the first to approach the formation. The pilot, a young and fearless soldier named Lerick, believed the old stories were exaggerated. "Humans aren't gods," he muttered as he moved his ship closer. "They're just old creatures who vanished." His captain warned him to stay back, but pride was a powerful poison. So he pushed forward, his lights shining directly onto the hull of the nearest human ship. And the moment the beam touched metal, everything died. His engine died. His weapons died. His shields died. The entire scout ship went black. No explosions. No energy discharge. No attack. Just silence. Panic crushed Lerick's chest. He hit every emergency switch, but nothing responded. He felt like a tiny insect trapped under the shadow of a mountain. And then he heard it. One human voice. Calm. Sharp. Steady. Unauthorized approach. Stand down. The voice echoed like a command from the universe itself. It wasn't angry. It wasn't loud. It was controlled. That scared Lerick more than any weapon. Who are you?" he whispered. The voice answered. "Humanity." 2 seconds later, the scout ship systems reactivated. But Lerick didn't move. He just stared at the silent human ship in front of him, and felt respect growing inside his fear. He realized something instantly. The humans were not here to talk. They were not looking for war. They were not showing rage. They were operating with a cold, sharp focus. Time-old instincts told him this. Something enormous had driven humanity back into the galaxy. Something dangerous. Something worth fearing. Lerick pulled away slowly, making sure not to provoke anything. When he returned to his fleet, he said only one sentence: "Do not anger them." Other alien captains did not listen. They wanted proof. They wanted to test the humans. They wanted to see if the old stories were true. One commander launched a warning missile. It wasn't aimed to kill, only to scare. The missile reached halfway to the human ship before it melted into dust. Not exploded. Not disabled. Melted. The alien fleets froze. Across the galaxy, millions of screens replayed the moment again and again. What was that? How did they do it? What weapon melts an object without firing? But the elders knew. "They are using willfire," Elian whispered. "Their minds, their spirits, their unity, it creates energy not written in physics." Younger empires refused to believe such nonsense, but evidence replaced doubt quickly. Every planet began reporting strange disturbances. Gravity bending slightly. Time stuttering. Stars dimming for a moment. Humanity wasn't doing it directly. The galaxy was reacting to their return. The Council of Elders called an emergency session. Their crystal hall flickered with tension. The younger rulers shouted, frightened, embarrassed, confused. "We must stop them," one emperor demanded. "We must negotiate," another screamed. "We should attack first," yelled a third. Elian raised his hand. Silence fell instantly, as if the hall itself obeyed him. "Humanity does not come for war," he said slowly. "Humanity comes for justice." The other elders nodded. "A colony of their people has been harmed," another elder added. "And humanity never forgets its own." The council members trembled. Everyone knew the ancient rule. Humans never acted without a reason. And if that reason was pain, the galaxy would feel their answer. Back in deep space, the human fleet continued moving, silent and cold like a blade gliding through darkness. No broadcasts. No warnings. No demands. They were returning with purpose, and the universe finally understood the old elder truth. When humanity returns, something impossible is about to happen. Panic spread through alien systems like wildfire, crawling from one star system to another until every empire, every station, every ship understood one truth. Humanity had returned, and their return was not soft, not warm, not friendly, but sharp like a blade awakening after centuries. For 900 years, no one had seen a single human ship, not a voice, not a signal, not a trace of life. They had vanished so completely that many believed they were wiped out by time itself. But now an entire human fleet moved through the galaxy with a terrifying calmness that made even the bravest commanders feel small. The moment that first distress beacon appeared, everything changed. Trade routes froze, border gates locked, military stations activated shields, academies taught emergency protocol, and billions of aliens crowded around screens wanting to see if the old stories were true. But the truth was worse than the stories. A small scout ship from the HFY Dominion approached first. Its pilot Leric young, proud, and foolish enough to think humanity was only old legend. He believed humans were dramatic, exaggerated tales created by ancient elders who loved fear. So he pushed his ship forward when others held back, calling the human fleet just relics, thinking they could be studied, tested, maybe even captured. He did not know he was flying towards something the galaxy had not felt in centuries, a force the elders called willfire. As Leric's lights touched the hull of the nearest human vessel, everything inside his ship died at once. Engines silent, cockpit dark, alarms frozen, weapons offline, gravity disabled. No explosion, no fire, no shockwave. Just death. The young pilot's heart pounded as the dark swallowed him whole. He felt helpless, tiny, like he had stepped into the shadow of a power far beyond comprehension. And then, in that perfect silence, a voice entered his ship. Not through speakers. Not through comms. It felt like it came from everywhere and nowhere. A single human voice, calm, steady, controlled, unauthorized approach. Stand down. The tone was not angry. It was not threatening. It was the voice of someone who had no time to waste. Leric felt his blood freeze. He had flown near warlords, assassins, criminals, and void beasts, but nothing had scared him like that quiet human sentence. He wanted to reply, but his throat refused to move. His ship suddenly powered back on, slowly, like someone giving him permission to breathe again. Leric did not speak a word as he pulled away from the human fleet, hands shaking, legs numb. He understood something the galaxy had forgotten. Humans did not need to shout to show strength. Their silence was enough. When he returned to his commanders, he spoke only one line: do not provoke them. But alien leaders ignored him, driven by pride, fear, and arrogance. Another alien warship fired a warning missile, not to kill, but to scare the humans. It never reached its target. Halfway through space, it turned into dust. No explosion. No sound. No visual beam. No logical explanation. Screens across thousands of worlds replayed the moment over and over again. Scientists screamed. Engineers panicked. Empires trembled. What weapon does this? What technology melts a missile without touching it? What power bends physical matter without firing energy? Only the elders whispered the truth: willfire. Humanity's strange force, their courage, their emotion, their unity. It created something the universe had never been able to understand. The galaxy refused to believe it, but the evidence grew. Stars flickered when the human fleet passed. Gravity bent around them. Space-time shivered as if nervous. Even dark matter reacted to their presence. Humanity had not simply returned. Humanity had awakened. In hidden military rooms, alien generals argued loudly, demanding action, preparing fleets, shouting nonsense to hide their fear. In trading hubs, merchants closed markets, sensing something huge coming. In the poorest colonies, parents pulled children indoors, whispering prayers. And in the oldest temples, priests lit ancient candles. They knew the prophecy was real. The Council of Elders gathered again, watching the human fleet grow brighter on their crystal map. They move with purpose, Elder Elian said softly. Something has hurt them deeply. The other elders nodded. Humanity never moved without meaning. They never returned without cause. And the cause this time was something the galaxy could not ignore. A human colony had been attacked, wiped out by a forbidden species. The elders felt the truth like fire. They will not negotiate, Elder Sora murmured. They will not forgive, Elian added. The galaxy was learning a lesson it had forgotten. Humans were peaceful by choice, but unstoppable by nature. Meanwhile, inside the nearest human flagship, a figure stood before a massive screen. Commander Eric Vale, the first human leader to step into the galaxy after 900 years. His eyes carried storms, calm but deadly. His voice, when he finally spoke to his fleet, was simple: we proceed. No anger, no yelling, just pure determination. The ships moved like a single living creature, a massive silent storm cutting through space. And everyone watching understood something that made their hearts sink. Humanity had not returned to talk. Humanity had returned to finish something. And nothing in the galaxy could stand in their way. Inside the Galactic Council Hall, chaos rose like a storm trapped inside a glass world. The echoes of shouting leaders crashing against the crystal walls as thousands of alien representatives scrambled to understand the impossible reality of humanity's return. Screens flickered with updates from terrified systems, reports flew across the room, and no one could agree on anything except one truth. Nothing in the galaxy felt safe anymore. The younger rulers, arrogant and loud, screamed that the humans must be stopped immediately. The middle-aged empires begged for diplomacy, trying to sound brave but unable to hide the trembling in their voices. The weaker species simply prayed silently, remembering the old elder stories of human fury, human sacrifice, human fire. The council hall, normally a place of calm decisions, looked like an animal trapped in darkness, shaking with fear. One representative from the Var Dominion slammed his claws on the table and shouted, "Humans vanished. They are dead. This is fake." Another leader from the ZYR Combine bellowed, "Attack first, before they attack us." A third, trembling, whispered, "We are not ready for them. No one is ready for them." The shouting grew louder and louder until it felt like the hall itself would crack. And then, without warning, the elders stood. Their glowing forms brightened, their voices slicing through the noise like a blade through fabric. Elder Elian raised one ancient hand, and the entire hall fell silent instantly, not out of respect but out of pure instinct. Even the air stopped moving. His voice, calm and heavy with centuries, filled every corner of the chamber. Humanity has not returned for territory. The words hit like cold water. He continued, humanity has not returned for power. The hall grew even colder. Humanity has returned because someone has hurt them. A quiet gasp spread through the room, as if every leader suddenly remembered every legend they had ignored. Elder Sora added, her tone sorrowful but stern, humans never move without purpose. And this purpose is pain. Before anyone could speak again, the giant central screen in the council hall flashed, not with a signal from an empire, not with a distress call, but with a direct transmission from the human fleet. Incoming message, the AI announced with a shaking voice. Every leader froze. Some stepped back. Some lowered their heads. Some secretly activated escape routes. The screen flickered. Static. Darkness. And then a human appeared. Commander Eric Vale. A tall, silent figure with eyes that looked carved from storms, wearing an old human fleet uniform that had not been seen for 9 centuries. The hall fell breathless. Even the elders leaned forward. Commander Vale didn't shout. He didn't smile. He didn't threaten. He simply looked into the camera as if staring into every soul watching. Then he spoke, his voice emotionless yet carrying a power that felt heavier than gravity. A forbidden species has attacked a human colony. The hall erupted internally. An attack on humans? Who would dare? Why now? But Vale continued, his tone sharp, steady, and terrifying in its calmness. We will not negotiate. The words dropped like stones into a deep ocean. We will not discuss. The air thickened. We will not forgive. Every leader felt a shiver crawl down their spine. Commander Vale's eyes hardened, his expression unchanging. We will answer. No threats. No demands. No anger. Just a verdict. The message ended. The screen went black. No music. No follow-up. No warnings. The hall erupted in panic again. But this time the sound wasn't loud. It was broken, frightened, shaking. Leaders collapsed into seats. Generals whispered curses. Scientists stared at their tablets with hollow eyes. The elders remained still, silent, watching the humans' message replay in their ancient minds. Elder Elian finally spoke, his voice trembling for the first time in thousands of years. The humans are not showing rage. They are showing resolve. Elder Sora added softly, and humanity's resolve is the most dangerous force in this universe. She looked around the trembling hall. Pray that the ones who attacked their colony are ready. The younger empires shook their heads. They were not prepared for a force that didn't roar but whispered, didn't threaten but promised, didn't rage but acted. For centuries, they had believed humans were soft myths. For centuries, they had mocked human stories. For centuries, they had ignored elder warnings. Now, after 900 silent years, humanity had spoken only one message, clear, cold, final. And the galaxy finally understood. The storm was not coming. The storm was already here as the human message faded from the council screens. Fear settled over the galaxy like a thick shadow. But the true terror began when the elders finally revealed the name of the forbidden species responsible for attacking the human colony. A name so old, so cursed, that many believed it had been erased from time itself. Elder Elian stepped forward, his glowing form dimming as if weighed down by a burden too heavy even for ancient beings. The species who attacked humanity, he said slowly, is the Zorath. The name alone caused every leader in the hall to flinch. Even the bravest generals felt the blood drain from their faces. The Zorath were not just enemies. They were nightmares whispered in the dark. A race erased from the galaxy's records because their crimes were too horrifying to remember. They were creatures who moved like shadows, feeding on suffering, wiping out entire worlds without leaving bodies, ashes, or signs of life. It was said that when a Zorath fleet entered a system, the stars dimmed, not from weapons, but from fear. They were banned by ancient law, hunted by the first civilizations, and believed to be extinct. But the elders knew better. They hide in the void between galaxies, Elder Sora whispered. Waiting, watching, growing stronger. The leaders trembled as the elders continued. A human refugee colony was attacked by a Zorath strike force. Silence crushed the hall. A refugee colony. Not a military base. Not a fortress. Families. Children. Survivors. People who had escaped some disaster 9 centuries earlier only to die in a place they hoped would be safe. One of the younger representatives broke into tears, remembering the stories. The Zorath did not kill quickly. They erased hope first, then life. The hall shook with grief and terror as holographic images flickered across the screen. Ruined buildings, scorched ground, no bodies, only drifting dust where thousands of human lives once existed. Commander Vale's earlier calm message suddenly made sense. Humanity wasn't coming for power. Humanity wasn't coming for territory. Humanity was coming because their own people were wiped out without mercy. And everyone in the galaxy knew. When humans grieve, they become unstoppable. The elders confirmed what no one wanted to hear. The Zorath believed humans were extinct, Elian said. They did not expect retaliation. Another elder added, they have awakened something they cannot outrun. Across the galaxy, military strategists activated secret files containing ancient human war records, classified histories of battles where humanity faced impossible odds and still won. Scientists replayed old footage of human soldiers standing in front of collapsing suns, gravity storms, planet-killer weapons, and surviving through sheer will. Now that same will was coming for the Zorath. And the galaxy could feel it. Reports began pouring in from border systems. The human fleet had accelerated. Not gradually, not mechanically, but like something alive increasing its heartbeat. Their ships pulsed with strange energy, bending nearby gravity fields. The alien observers watching their scans trembled. The humans were unleashing something old, something unseen for a millennium. Willfire levels rising, whispered a terrified scientist. What? Asked her superior. She shook her head. Something inside them is growing. Something emotional, turning into power. The room fell silent. Humanity's strength was not just technology. It was their heart, their grief, their rage, their unity. Every human ship, every human soldier, every human heartbeat was now focused on one thing: the destruction of the species that attacked their own. Meanwhile, far away in a dark corner of the galaxy, The Zorath themselves watched the scans with disbelief. Their leaders hissed in confusion. They had never faced humans before, only heard fragments of ancient warnings. "What is their purpose?" one Zorath commander asked. Another replied coldly, "They are weak. They bleed like all others. They will break." But even their own systems told a different story. The human fleet was not slowing, not communicating, not negotiating. It was advancing like a silent storm across the void. The Zorath attempted to activate their ancient weapon, a dark matter shield said to have stopped entire civilizations. A weapon older than the Council itself. A weapon the Elders had once feared. But something unexpected happened. As soon as the shield formed, a strange energy pulse rippled from the human flagship Horizon Ascendant and traveled across space in a smooth, invisible wave. The dark matter shield shattered, instantly. No explosion. No damage. Just collapse. The Zorath commanders recoiled. "How?" one hissed. "What power do they command?" Their screens flickered, showing the human fleet glowing with a rising brightness that made even the void itself seem to retreat. The Zorath understood too late. Humanity wasn't the weak myth they mocked. They were the storm every elder had warned about. Back at the council, Elder Elian closed his eyes, sensing the future like a wound opening. "The Zorath do not realize," he said softly, "that they have awakened the force that shapes destiny." Elder Sora nodded. "And nothing stands between humanity and their justice now." The galaxy trembled, knowing the truth. The Zorath made the greatest mistake in the universe. They touched human families, and now humanity would burn through stars to answer them. As the human fleet reached the Zorath border, space itself seemed to grow colder, as if the void recognized the fury traveling through it, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy witnessed a sight that felt impossible. An entire armada of human warships moving like a single heartbeat, silent and disciplined, each vessel glowing with a soft inner fire that no other species could imitate or understand. The Horizon Ascendant, humanity's flagship, drifted to the front of the formation like a giant blade forged from starlight, its hull marked with names of fallen colonies, lost families, and forgotten heroes. It wasn't a ship, it was a promise carved into metal. The Zorath forces, hidden behind their newly rebuilt dark matter barrier, hissed with confidence. They believed no weapon could penetrate their shield, that no species could dare to challenge their ancient technology. They expected fear. They expected hesitation. They expected negotiation. But humanity offered none. Commander Eric Vale stood in the central control chamber of the flagship. Hands steady, jaw locked, eyes sharp with a grief that had turned into pure focus. His officers watched him silently, each of them carrying their own memories of the destroyed refugee colony. Small homes turned to ash, children who never had a chance to run, parents holding each other in their last frozen moments. No one spoke. No one needed to. Humanity shared pain like a single soul. Without raising his voice, Vale gave the order that would be remembered in every future history book of the galaxy: fire pulse. There was no countdown. No rise in sound. No dramatic light. A single ripple of energy left the human flagship, soft like a whisper, gentle like a sigh. It drifted across the void calmly, quietly, gracefully, and when it reached the Zorath dark matter shield, the shield disintegrated into dust. No explosion. No burn. No flash. One moment it existed, the next moment it was gone, erased by a force the galaxy had no scientific explanation for. Billions watched the broadcast with wide, disbelieving eyes. The Zorath commanders recoiled in horror, their bodies curling with fear, their screens flashing red warnings: unknown energy signature. Gravity distortion detected. Structure melted. No source identified. The galaxy repeated one question: how did humans do that? But the human fleet did not slow. They advanced, steady and silent, as if they were walking toward destiny itself. The Zorath tried launching their weaponized drones. The drones turned to static the moment they entered human range. They launched plasma torpedoes. The torpedoes lost shape and dissolved into harmless mist. They activated gravitational mines. The mines fell inward, crushed under their own collapsed gravity wells. Every attack the Zorath attempted simply died. And still the humans did not fire a deadly shot. They disabled, but did not destroy. They silenced weapons, but did not touch the beings behind them. Humanity wasn't here for slaughter. Humanity was here for justice. Commander Vale's second command echoed through every ship, open channel. A wide transmission went out. One simple message broadcast across the entire Zorath system: stand down. We are here for the architects of the attack, not for the innocent. Step aside. For the first time in their history, the Zorath hesitated. Their soldiers, raised to show no fear, felt it for the first time. Even their leaders, born in darkness, felt something new, a trembling sense of inferiority they had never known. And the galaxy learned a truth they had forgotten for 900 years. Humanity does not want to destroy life. Humanity wants to protect it, even when facing their worst enemy. A Zorath captain, shaken but proud, activated his weapon out of desperation. His ship's cannons charged, lights filling with deadly energy, preparing to fire at the human fleet. Before he could launch the attack, a soft glow appeared around his ship, golden, peaceful, warm. His weapon shut down. His screens showed a message written in calm human text: do not choose death. Choose truth. Then his entire ship went still. Not damaged. Not broken. Just gently disabled. The captain collapsed into his seat, eyes burning with a realization that struck him harder than any weapon. Humans could have destroyed them effortlessly, but they didn't. The galaxy watched humanity show power no one had ever seen. Power without cruelty. Strength without hate. Fire without chaos. It wasn't human technology that froze the universe in awe. It was human restraint. And across the galaxy, billions whispered the same line: humans are something else. In the council hall, Elder Elian felt his ancient heart tremble. They are not fighting with anger, he murmured. They are fighting with purpose. Elder Sora nodded. This is why we warned the stars. Nothing can stand against humanity, not because of their weapons, but because of their will. On the human flagship, Commander Vale stared at the Zorath capital world, silent, dark, waiting. His voice dropped to a whisper filled with pain, strength, and fire for the fallen. And the fleet moved forward like the rising dawn, quiet, unstoppable, righteous. Humanity had shown its true strength, and the universe would never be the same again as the human fleet advanced deeper into Zorath territory with silent determination. The galaxy watched with a fear that felt ancient, like something buried for thousands of years had finally awakened, and for the first time since humanity's return, the elders of the council rose from their seats with trembling light, revealing a truth so heavy that every ruler, every general, every scientist in the hall felt their hearts stop. Elder Elian stepped forward, his glow dimming as if the secret he carried was too much even for an immortal being, and in a voice filled with sorrow, he said, "You believe humans are dangerous because of their ships, but you are wrong. Humans are dangerous because of what burns inside them." The hall fell completely silent. Even the lights seemed to freeze. Elder Sora continued, her tone soft like a memory. Humans possess something no other species has ever carried. Something we named willfire. Confused whispers filled the chamber, but the elders didn't stop. Elian raised one hand, and the entire hall's map shifted, showing the human fleet glowing brighter than any star in the region. Willfire, he said, is the force born when humanity feels pain, when they lose someone they love, when they stand for someone who cannot stand alone, when they protect their own. The hologram zoomed in closer, showing the human ships pulsing with warm, golden energy that looked more like emotion than technology. Every time a human loves, Elian whispered, their willfire grows. Every time they hope, it strengthens. Every time they suffer, it ignites. The younger empires trembled, realizing what they were seeing wasn't a weapon. It was a living force created by human emotion. Elder Sora's voice broke slightly as she continued, humans evolved not through strength, but through heart. They rose because they refused to give up. Because they refused to die. Because they protected each other even at the edge of extinction. She paused, her glowing eyes soft with old memories. That is why the galaxy feared them. The hall fell into stunned silence. Videos from the human fleet played on the hologram, engineers working without rest, soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder, doctors healing both humans and captured Zorath without discrimination. Children aboard the refugee ships writing names of their lost friends on the walls so they would never be forgotten. Each image made the will fire brighter. Elder Elian added, voice heavy with emotion. When one human hurts, millions rise with them. When one human cries, the universe shakes. When one human falls, humanity becomes unstoppable. He turned slowly, looking at every ruler in the chamber one by one. But when humans lose a child, when children are harmed, the hall held its breath. The galaxy loses its peace. No one spoke. No one moved. Every empire understood the truth at the same exact moment. The Zorath hadn't just attacked a colony. They had attacked families, children, sons, daughters, survivors of 9 centuries of silence. They had triggered the one thing the galaxy never wanted to witness again. Human fury fueled by love. The hologram switched to the destroyed colony. Tiny school buildings reduced to ash, playground structures melted, small toys lying in dust untouched, as if waiting for hands that would never return. The elders bowed their heads. This is what awakened their willfire, Sora whispered. This is why the stars tremble. Meanwhile, far across space, inside the human flagship Horizon Ascendant, Commander Eric Vale stood alone in the memory chamber, looking at the last recorded images of the lost colony. A small girl, maybe 5 years old, drawing on the wall with bright blue chalk. A group of boys building a model spaceship. A family sharing food outside a shelter tent. These were not soldiers. These were not threats. These were innocent lives. Vale's hand tightened into a fist, but his eyes did not show rage. They showed grief so deep it felt like the silence before a storm. The room's willfire sensors glowed intensely around him, reacting to his steady but burning emotions. Officers outside the chamber felt the energy rising and bowed their heads, not out of fear but out of respect, for their commander, for their people, for the children they failed to protect. A whisper moved through the ship's corridors, we rise for them. Back in the council hall, the younger empires finally understood the true meaning of the Elder's ancient warning. When humanity rises with willfire, even fate bends. Elian turned toward the giant star map and spoke the final truth, his voice trembling with both fear and reverence. This is why we cautioned the stars. Not because humans destroy everything, but because nothing can stop them when they protect their own. Elder Sora finished softly, nothing in this universe can stand against humanity's will. The hall stayed silent for a long moment. Leaders wiped tears they didn't expect. Generals lowered their weapons. Scientists forgot their calculations. The galaxy had always feared human strength, but now, for the first time, they understood human pain. And that truth alone shook the universe more than any weapon ever could. In the far distance, the human fleet ignited with even brighter willfire, and the void itself seemed to bow. Humanity's heart had awakened, and the galaxy would never, ever be the same again as humanity's fleet pushed deeper into the bleeding heart of Zorath space. The galaxy watched with collective breath held tight, because for the first time in recorded history, the Zorath, the most feared, most ruthless, most ancient enemy, were running. Their warships scattered like insects fleeing a wildfire, their shadow creatures screaming in frequencies that made even distant senses shake. But no matter how fast they moved, no matter how deep they hid, the human fleet followed with cold precision, unstoppable, inevitable, carrying willfire so bright that the void seemed to glow from the inside out. At the center of Zorath territory, a monstrous structure finally revealed itself on countless screens across the galaxy. A giant star-eater weapon the size of a moon, its claws wrapped around a dying sun like a predator squeezing the life out of its prey. The weapon pulsed with dark energy, ripping gravity apart layer by layer, threatening to collapse the entire system. Alien empires watching the broadcast trembled. If the star died, dozens of worlds would fall with it, and nothing in their arsenal could stop such destruction. But humanity did not retreat. Humanity accelerated. On the Horizon Ascendant, emergency alarms blared with warnings no other species would dare ignore. But human engineers, human soldiers, human scientists only tightened their belts, straightened their backs, and prepared to walk into fire. Commander Eric Vale stood before the tactical display, the reflection of the collapsing star dancing in his eyes like an incoming storm. His voice remained calm, steady, sharp. Deploy landing teams. Shield the star. Save who we can. No hesitation. No fear. No ego. Only purpose. Only justice. Human Marines launched first, dropping through ripping gravity waves as if diving into a burning ocean. Their armor cracking under the pressure but their willfire rising stronger with every second. Human engineers followed, firing anchor spikes into the weapon's surface, stabilizing broken gravitational edges with tools no alien could understand. Machines powered partly by tech, partly by the emotional energy surging through the entire fleet. The Zorath defenders attacked in swarms, shrieking in rage, unleashing weapons that could tear mountains apart. Yet human soldiers stood in front of them like living shields, refusing to let even a single engineer fall. Every time a human was hit, another took their place. Every time a human stumbled, 3 hands pulled them up. They fought as one mind, one soul, one burning force. One human medic dragged a wounded Marine behind cover, whispering, "You're not dying today. Not while we stand." Another soldier, bleeding but unbroken, slammed a shield generator into the ground and yelled, "For the colony." The willfire around them burst into bright gold. The Star Eater began to shake violently, as if confused by this impossible resistance. Meanwhile, deep inside the weapon's core, human engineers discovered the horrifying truth. The Zorath were using the heart of the stolen human colony as a power source. The remains of human structures were fused into cables. Children's toys embedded into machinery. Memories carved into metal. Humanity's grief turned into fire. The engineers froze for 3 heartbeats, eyes burning. Then Commander Vale's voice cut through their sorrow like a guiding flame, "Shut it down." With shaking hands but unshakable resolve, they began hacking the Star Eater's ancient systems, rewriting codes older than recorded time with human logic, human science, and human will. Zorath Guardians tried to stop them, but human soldiers fought harder, faster, fiercer, not for victory, not for glory, but for those who had been stolen from them. Outside the weapon, the star screamed as it shrank, pulling ships toward destruction. Alien observers could only whisper helplessly, "They will die, they will all die." But on the human flagship, Vale stood straight, voice calm, "Activate Willfire Protocol." The entire human fleet answered at once. Golden light exploded from every ship, warm, bright, pure. The willfire merging into a single massive wave of human emotion, human unity, human heart. The wave tore through the collapsing gravity, stabilizing the star, pushing back the darkness with impossible power. The Star Eater groaned, weakened, shaking like a beast cornered by destiny. Human engineers transmitted the final code. Human Marines held the last line. Human ships poured all their willfire into the dying sun. And then, the weapon shattered. The star stabilized. The Zorath forces fell into silence. Humanity saved an entire system. Not by killing. Not by conquering. But by standing. By protecting. By refusing to break. Alien worlds watching the broadcast fell into stunned silence, realizing they had witnessed something the elders had spoken of but no one believed. Humanity's heart had the power to reshape a star. As the golden glow faded and the void returned to calm darkness, Commander Vale whispered the words that would echo across galaxies for generations, "For the fallen, we rise." Humanity had delivered its message, and every star felt it. When the Star Eater collapsed and the dying sun steadied back into calm light, the entire galaxy fell into a silence so deep it felt like space itself was holding its breath, because humanity had done the impossible. They stopped a dying star, ended the Zorath threat, and saved dozens of alien worlds without asking for thanks, power, land, or tribute. They simply stepped back, wounded but unbroken, covered in dust and scars, but standing tall like guardians carved from fire. The defeated Zorath ships drifted in stunned formation, their monstrous confidence shattered, their ancient cruelty crushed by a force they could never understand. Human soldiers escorted Zorath civilians to safety, refusing to punish those who had no part in the attack. Human medics treated Zorath children with the same care they gave their own. Human engineers repaired damage to nearby planets. The galaxy watched in disbelief as the strongest species they had ever seen used their strength not for revenge, but for mercy. And in that moment, every empire, every leader, every common citizen finally understood the Elder's warning. Not that humanity destroys everything, but that humanity protects everything with a heart so fierce that even stars obey their will. Inside the council hall, the Elders bowed their heads with respect, something they had never done for any species before. Elder Elian whispered to the stunned rulers, "This is humanity's true power, not their weapons, but their soul." The younger empires felt shame for mocking the ancient warnings. The middle empires felt relief for being spared. The older empires felt or that such a species ever existed. When the human fleet finally turned away from the battlefield, their ships glowing gently with the last flames of willfire, the council broadcasted a message across the universe. No one shall challenge humanity. No one shall harm humanity. And no one shall dare forget what they are capable of. Billions cheered. Billions cried. Billions knelt. Yet as the galaxy celebrated humanity's victory, something strange happened at the farthest edge of known space. Deep beyond the star maps, past the silent nebulae, past the dark matter rivers where no empire dared to travel, a signal awakened. Not human. Not Zorath. Not any species recorded in 50,000 years. A whisper echoed through long-dead channels, vibrating through forgotten satellites and broken probes, speaking in a language no one used anymore, except one species. Humanity. The single word repeated again and again, soft at first, then louder, like a heartbeat rising in the darkness, return. The message pulsed with cold familiarity, as if it came from something that knew humanity deeply, intimately, painfully. On the horizon ascendant, every human screen flickered at the same moment. Engineers froze. Soldiers turned. Officers stared. Commander Eric Vale stepped forward, his eyes narrowing as the impossible signal played before him. Coordinates leading to a place humanity had abandoned 900 years ago. A place no one spoke of. A place humanity had sworn never to approach again. Vale's voice dropped into a whisper that carried both fear and fire. That region, it was destroyed. Another officer stepped closer, pale. "Sir, who could send that message?" The signal repeated, this time stronger, shaking the windows of the ship as if something ancient was knocking on the universe from the outside. Return. The human fleet shifted, engines humming with new purpose. Willfire rose like a quiet storm inside every ship. The galaxy watched in confusion, unsure whether to follow or flee. Elder Elian, sensing the shift before anyone else, whispered to the council in trembling fear, "This is not over." Elder Sora added softly, "Something older than the Zorath has awakened. And it is calling humanity." The human fleet turned toward the dark edge of the universe, into a region no map dared to show, into a place where even light hesitated to enter. The galaxy trembled as humanity prepared to step into the unknown once more. Commander Vale looked out into the endless dark and spoke the final words of the chapter. "We answered one call. Now we answer the next." And the fleet accelerated, silent, determined, unstoppable, vanishing into the black horizon where destiny waited. To be continued.